Wow. Yeah, I'm really happy to see everyone. And, people are saying, are you happy to be back? And the answer is yes. I'm delighted to be back. And I have to tell you how grateful I am to be given this gift of sabbatical to the congregation. Thank you. And to my colleagues, thank you um, to make it possible. And I have to say, I had a lot of experiences. I went around the world 3 times. I went to a bunch of countries, and there is no place like I know I work here, but there is no place like CBJ. There really isn't. I mean, it's the warmth, the breadth of what we do, of our congregants, our staff, our clergy. It's incredible. It really is. And I say this as an unbiased advisor. So there you go. Um, I was really privileged to travel around, and I love travel, and I'll talk a little bit about that as I go along. And I don't want this to be like a travel log, but I am going to give you some details. And if you really want a lot of details, I'm I'm very happy to bore you another time. Okay, hopefully this is not that time. Um, but I want to share a few learnings that I had from my travels, and I'll tell you about some specific things that I did and what we did. So in December, Michelle and I set out for Australia, and we spent a month and a half there, and we had incredible experiences, and we learned a lot about various Aboriginal cultures. Um, it was super informative. It was really a life changing kind of thing. And then we went to Singapore, and we landed in Singapore on Chinese New Year. Okay, which was a blowout. It was a blowout, and we spent a week there. And then Michelle went home and left me to my own devices, which worked out. But I went to Penang, which is in Malaysia, and I there are a lot of fireworks in Penang. We were celebrating Chinese New Year until 3 o'clock in the morning with fireworks. And I went to Bangkok, and again, going in and out of temples, um, watching people's devotion, going to their priest, because they wanted to have blessing and bringing their offerings and such. Just being, I felt so much like a spectator, which I was, but it was really eye opening. It was wonderful. Um, so we were kind of on this holiday train, and we wound up in I wound up in Spain. I saw my kids in Spain. We had a week off. We went to Malaga. It was Carnival, so you can just imagine there was partying. And then I went to Seville, and Seville was on the Friday after Mardi Gras, and it was a sight to see because there were lots and lots of people in the streets. And when I say in the streets, I mean we opened up the door of Airbnb and we couldn't get out because these sidewalks are jammed. And in the middle, there was a guy walking with an enormous cross and people following with candles and lots of people with jacket and tie with a pin from whatever order they were. And it was really remarkable to see. Um, and what they were doing was they were recreating the Via Dolorosa, the last steps of their Lord, and it was amazing to watch. Um, and just a little further, I promise I'm not going to just tell you every step of the way, but hopefully there's a point to this. Um, I was in Wellington, New Zealand on Anzac Day. Anzac Day is Memorial Day there, and it actually happened to coincide with Yom HaZikaron, which is our Memorial Day for Israel. And Wellington is a very, very small Jewish community, so they didn't have a commemoration of Yom HaZikaron. But at the Wellington Anzac Day commemoration, the prime minister was there, lots of heads of the state were there, ambassadors, the Israeli ambassador was there, the US ambassador. And I was kind of projecting in my mind that this was like Yom HaZikaron. It was as serious. It's a very, very serious day, and it was poignant. Um, and then finally, it was very festive in Japan on Golden Week. Okay, and just watching people at the temples, it was extraordinary to see people with their devotion. So I just have to say, like, it's not again. I don't want to do like a travel log, but I want to say how privileged I was to experience these, especially celebrations, but commemorations as well in other cultures. And one of the things I really saw is how similar they are. They're built around family, they're built around community. Um, a lot of them have worship, but in a way that it doesn't happen all the time. Spain, for example, is increasingly secular, but on that day, they really brought the religious practice. And I was thinking how similar that is to, we're here. Not all of us come every week, right? It's a busy life, but we all come for this. And that is so, like you said, we're just happy to see everybody.
Yeah.
We're just so happy with that. Um, and then the other thing was the amount of reenactment that goes on. That's what we do. Our Seder is a reenactment. So we do lots and lots of things of reenacting as well. So I was just thinking how incredibly similar they were. But what really struck me was it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or Buddhist or Muslim or Aboriginal, people are performing these rituals as expressions of their identities. That's identity. This gathering is identity. Over the next few weeks, we're going to have lots of opportunity to come together. And we express the fact that we have a Jewish identity. And I was traveling around the world and I was going to places, some of which did not have a lot of Jews or any Jews. And you really feel it. It feels even more profound to say, wow, I'm a Jew. And then I got to go find Jewish community. So there's something amazing about going to a synagogue in Kobe, Japan and davening. There's also something amazing about being in Bangkok or in Adelaide or in Oakland, because when I was home, I was able to go to synagogues around here, which was quite a treat. And you live Judaism in those particular places, but the prayers are the same. A lot of the people are expats, so you kind of knew them already, but you know a little bit of the zeitgeist there, right? I mean, this is a Jewish community gathering for worship or for celebration. We had Shabbat dinners. I was honored to do the Haftorah in Melbourne and Shabbat dinner there. So I did Haftorah in American trope, just so you know, which really made them very happy. And I was thinking about diaspora. We're dispersed all over. And I'm glad we're dispersed more than just in California, because everywhere I went, I felt like I had a home. And that's something that's incredibly special. So as I'm thinking about this and identity, I went to a museum in Bangkok. It's near the Grand Palace if you've ever been to Bangkok. And it's a small museum, it's a Siam museum. And the first exhibition was called Decoding Thai-ness. What does it mean to be Thai? And there were just room after room after room with different things. There's historical, architectural, cultural, culinary, clothing, rituals. Singapore had a similar museum for the Peranakan people, who are the natives for that peninsula. But the same question, who are we? And it's not just who are we to tell the outside world, it's also for ourselves. Who are we? What does it mean for me to be a Thai? What does it mean for me to be Peranakan? And I thought that was really fascinating. The idea of kind of how other cultures are saying, who are we? Because I think we ask this question all the time. And our answer is, it's a difficult answer. Are we a religion? Well, yeah. Are we a people? Definitely. Are we a race? Not really. We came up with this thing that we're an ethnicity, which I believe is made up. But the idea of who are we? And one of the ways I answer the question is, we're the people who gather here. We're the people who go to the shuls all over the world. We're the people with these incredible rituals and a richness of history that goes back thousands of years. That's part of my identity. And I notice how a lot of people struggle with it. You especially struggle when you're living amongst others. We live amongst others. We're not a Jewish society. We're a Jewish community within a society, which is majority not Jewish. And we assimilate certain things, we acculturate certain things, but we also live our truths and who we are. I saw that especially with Native people who've been colonized, like in New Zealand or in Australia. It's a real struggle. And one of the things that I heard from several people was, and this was like leaders of Aboriginal mobs and Maori, was asking them about continuity. Like, how do you keep continuity? What do your children think? And they said, but several of them, there were 3 or 4, and they said exactly the same thing. Our kids participate. We got to get them off their cell phones. Right? Which was both comforting and distressing, I have to say. So anyway, coming back to it. I'm thinking about my identity. What does it mean to be a Jew? And they're the conscious choices I mentioned before, what we do, where we worship, what we eat, how we dress, what we wear, the buildings we build, the symbols we display. Those are all very tangible. But I thought a little bit harder because like those are the things we do, but who are we? And I think a lot of times this happens a lot with the kids and the teens I teach, which is a lot of times it's what did you do? You know, what were your grades? What were your extracurriculars? Not who are you as a person? Who is that shining light inside of you? What is it that drives you? What is it that gets you going in the morning? What is it that makes you say, I'm me and I'm proud of being me? Besides the accomplishments, what is it that makes you say that? So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about myself and how I approach life. And what you said before, Rabbi, about when Rabbi was talking about the prayer about creation, and about how a lot of times we don't identify with that so much. One of the things that I really thought about, and I used the mantra of Rabbi Heschel, Abraham Joshua Heschel, and for me it's a mantra, and we've taught this before, but Rabbi Heschel talks about radical amazement. You approach the world with radical amazement. And one of the things that I see myself as is somebody who's filled with wonder. Okay. I see myself as somebody filled with wonder. And maybe sometimes you don't see that in me, but that's where it is. So I'm walking around these new places, and it's just an overload of wonder. It is radical amazement just flying around my head. So I wanted to bring you one more teaching here, which is from Rabbi Ed Feinstein, who's channeling Rabbi Heschel. And he says, what is the opposite of being religious? Now, I asked my kids this. I actually gave them homework in Hebrew school. I said, when you come back in a couple of weeks, you have to tell me what the opposite of being religious is. Now, of course, most of them said non-religious. Okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, tautologies aside, that is correct. But some of them say, well, not going to synagogue means you're not religious. Oh, all right, okay. Being atheist. Okay, good. I said, there are lots of right answers, but I'm actually looking for one particular answer. Okay. So the answer that Rabbi Feinstein gives, which is what Rabbi Heschel said, is the opposite of being religious is being, what's this? Bored. Bored. This is the most incredible answer for a person like me. Like, yes, I'm the most religious person in the world because I am never bored. I'm never bored. Really, weirdly enough. It's really weird. But even though I'm not that bored here, when I'm traveling, it's like another layer. I have this acute, really acute awareness of things around me to the extent that I don't even have here. You know, you see a tree, you see the tree every day outside your house. And do you ever stop and think, that's the most incredible thing I've seen today? Until the next incredible thing you see. Maybe, maybe not. You know, the building that you see, you know, I was in, I don't know, one town. And I'm like, wow, look at that building. It kind of looks a lot like other buildings, but it's amazing because I've never seen it before, right? There's novelty there. You know, it's like, look at that squirrel. It's like, that squirrel looks like a Redwood City squirrel, but it's in Australia. It's an Australian squirrel. I've never seen an Australian squirrel. It's like, it looks like that guy. How is that possibly amazing? Well, it is amazing. It's incredibly amazing. And I was thinking about this even more. It's like, why do we have to go somewhere else to experience the world? We got the world right here. It's right here. It's right outside. And radical amazement was this again, it's this mantra. And it's just overwhelming me. And not only nature, but rituals. You know, a lot of times one of the things that keeps us away sometimes is we don't feel connection to our own rituals, which I understand. But I'm watching rituals in a Buddhist temple. And I know a lot of people would say, wow, those are so interesting. I agree with that. Why don't we have something like that? And I'm thinking we do. We really do. We might not connect with it all the time, but we've got that. That's all here. Sometimes we're not curious about the things that are right in front of us or the things that are part of who we are. Anyway, in our prayers, every day, 3 times a day, we say the Amidah. And in the Amidah is my favorite. We kid about, my favorite line in the Siddur, my favorite line in the Torah, and it changes every week, at least every week, with both of us. Okay. But this has been my favorite line for years and years. And the line is, it's in the Amidah where we talk about gratitude, and it says, "V'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu," and for all your miracles that are with us every day. We're thankful for everyday miracles. And it's more than just about gratitude for me. I think it's the antidote to boredom. I think when we look at these wonders, we think, wow, it's all a miracle. Our children are a miracle. Our candles are a miracle. Our gathering together is a miracle. This is miracle. And like I said before, the thing about cell phones, everywhere I went, people were staring at their cell phones. I mean, everywhere. Staring in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, everybody's staring. Part of it's Google Maps, but everybody's, which by the way is helpful. I was guilty too. But when you look down, you're not looking there. You're not seeing. You know, it's when it says you go 500 meters, you don't have to walk 50 to make sure that it's still 450. Okay. You could like say 500, put the thing in your pocket. It means you're just not looking around at the world. And I want to just give you one more teaching, which is from an Aboriginal teaching. This teaching is, for me, profound. And that is that a child is never allowed to cast a shadow over an elder. Okay. But that doesn't stop when you're a child. That always is with you. So whenever you have your elder, you need to look outside yourself because you need to know where your shadow is. You can't be just totally self-centered and looking at your phone because you might be covering somebody with your shadow, like physically with your shadow. I thought that was absolutely profound, is to look around and to really see. Not just about your elder, but just look around and see. So I was, when I was writing this, I was thinking, I don't want to say, I got to travel, knowing that a lot of people don't get to travel as much for whatever reason. But I really want to urge you to use Rosh Hashanah as a jumping off point here to really consciously celebrate this radical amazement in the world around us. Okay. Make that the acute awareness, not just travel, not just somewhere else, and see the miracles that are around you every single day. And I've been trying very hard to do that, even more than I used to. And I've been very conscious of it. And it's been really profound for me. So anyway, it's good to be back. I honestly can say there's no place like home. And to see everybody here is, I've been looking forward to it. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being this incredible community. Thank you. Thank you, the staff. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.